Welcome to Decades of Horror, the 1980s.
Wakey, wakey, hands off snakey.
This is episode 193, recorded November 10th, 2021.
I'm so classy.
Gruesome Magazine.
I am your host, Jeff Mohr, and this podcast is about horror films released between 1980 and 1989. Each episode, my co-host Bill Mulligan, Crystal Cleveland, and Chad Hunt and I will tackle another classic or not so classic film from this radical, gory, influential, and gruesome decade. So on Decades of Horror, we start off with some basic details about the film, get into first impressions, and then off we go. Just kind of discussing whatever we feel like, whatever interested us. Joining me tonight is...
Sometimes that goes to pizza. Sometimes that goes to
it does.
Grocery store prices. You never know where it's going to lead.
Plate spinners on Ed Sullivan show.
Oh.
You know, we've talked about that before. So. All right. With me tonight is Crystal Cleveland, the Living Dead Girl and co-host of the Gruesome Magazine podcast. How are you, Crystal?
I'm fabulous. I was going to try to do an Australian accent.
You read that quote like you said it before. I don't know.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, she has kids. I'm positive she said it before.
Yeah.
Boys, 2 boys too. It's like, oh my gosh, so funny. I didn't know that that's where the line came from. I don't know if this is the original place it came from.
I don't think so. I don't think enough people
because
saw
I've
this.
because I heard it in something else, but
yeah, I'm sure it's been around.
It's been around.
Also joining us is Chad Hunt, comic book artist and co-host of All the Decades of Horror. How you doing, Chad?
I'm good. I finally get to see a movie where it proves my point that pigs will eat you.
yeah.
Oh, was that in doubt?
Yeah.
Sure.
To some people, yeah.
Oh,
some
God.
people. Pigs will eat
Lord.
you.
They're mean.
Oh.
They
must not
my
know pigs.
Especially
grandparents.
boars.
My grandparents put the scare of pigs into me when I'd go visit their farm. You know, don't. Yeah, and then there's the Wizard of Oz, right?
Yeah, Dorothy almost gets eaten by pigs.
Oh.
Yeah. And last but not least is Bill Mulligan, writer, director, special effects guru, co-host of Decades of Horror, the 1970s, and all around nice guy.
Turn around and let's see.
The guy with.
Well,
I
I think the original expression was wakey, wakey, ham and bakey, which would also fit for this movie. So,
Oh.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I've heard that too.
Oh, pigs are terrifying. Pigs will not only eat you, but unlike most animals that'll eat you, they don't even like react as they're doing it. Like, the bear would growl at you and a lion would slash at you. And a pig just starts eating and keeps on eating. Ignores your screams. Yeah.
Just hold food.
You're just another
probably know
thing.
By now.
But I wish this food would shut up.
Wow.
Our topic is Razorback from 1984. Once again, I just ignore Chad and start talking.
As do we all.
Directed
I love you, Chad.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
we
Directed by Russell Mulcahy. Written by Everett De Roche from a novel by Peter Brennan. Cast includes Gregory Harrison, Arkie Whiteley, Bill Kerr, David Argue, Chris Haywood, and Judy Morris. It was filmed in Australia in kind of the outback areas, Broken Hill, Silverton, White Cliffs, Sydney, all in New South Wales, but also in New York City, and there were some pickup shots in LA. We'll talk about that in a bit. Released on April 19th, 1984 in Australia and November 16th, 1984 in the U.S. The budget is estimated at $5.5 million Australian dollars.
Whatever that means.
Well, I think it's roughly at that time the exchange was would have made it about $5 million U.S.
Okay.
Domestic box office, U.S. and Canada, 150,000. Oops.
Yeah.
Australian. Box office 801,000.
Wow.
Not a moneymaker.
Not right away. It certainly wasn't. Synopsis: this movie is about a vicious wild boar that terrorizes the Australian outback And while that happens, the husband of one of the victims is joined by a hunter and a farmer in a search for the beast.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Now, if I could put a GIF up, we could have seen the eyelids blink on that eye. But anyway, so yeah, Razorback. Some more Ozploitation.
Yep.
And we've got some images here supplied by our own Bill Mulligan, also known as Outback Bill Mulligan.
Outback Bill Mulligan. Yeah. I mean, this video was in every video store in the 1980s. This movie may not have been a big hit in the U.S., but the video was literally everywhere.
Yeah, and it's hard to find a decent poster in English. There's a lot of Spanish and German and stuff like that, but the other posters, I don't know. It's kind of like they didn't really market it very much.
I don't remember it ever playing in a theater. I never saw an ad for it or anything.
But that one on the top is I think that's a box, isn't it?
Right. Yeah, it looks like a VHS.
And the next one down, though, is a common image with the boar behind the guy with the long rifle. Aiming.
That's a cool poster.
I like both of them.
It is.
They're both really nice. They're both like, they kind of feel ahead of their time.
And they give you a sense of the style of the film that this is,
They do. They do. So now let's get to taglines.
Oh boy.
Well, first, first, and also known as, I have to do the German one. Razorback. Razorback. Kampfkoloss der Hölle.
What did I just do?
Okay.
Which means Hell's Fighting Colossus.
Gesundheit.
Or BFP from Hell, I guess. I don't know.
What?
I don't know what this means. I'm so confused right now. I feel
You know what a
stupid.
BFH is, right?
A BFH?
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
It must be an Iowa thing.
It's a big effing hammer. So whenever you got to go get the BFH.
Okay.
So
I thought it meant big fat hog.
Yeah,
Well,
that makes sense.
well, I said BFP, which would have been
of
big effing
course.
pig.
Good.
But I don't know.
I'm not even smart enough to come up with
I love
big
German
fat
words.
hog.
Kampfkoloss means fighting colossus, I guess. I don't know. All right. Enough of that silliness. Taglines.
Here we go.
Uh,
Oh
Uh-oh.
boy. Yeah. No, this isn't good.
none of these are good. A hog wild tale of terror in the Australian outback.
Oh, that's awful.
It is.
Hog
It's funny,
wild.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
If this were a comedy, that'd be great.
Nightmare will prepare you for it.
Okay, so they just had that in the box of taglines and they just randomly pulled it out.
Yeah,
That could be for any movie.
it's like they've got that one of those spinning cages that they just reach into.
No.
Yeah. It's
Like
waiting
those-
outside and it can sense your fear. No nightmare will prepare you for it, just like the other ones.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. That was my Leslie Jordan.
Actually, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
A new breed of terror.
That's it. Oh, okay.
Generic.
That's it. A new breed of terror. It has two states of being: dangerous or dead.
Okay. I kind of like it. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of like it.
That's my favorite about all these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
900 pounds of marauding tusk and muscle.
I'd go with that one. I mean, it's not good, but
It does make you think. It's like 900.
it's good for
Yeah.
that's a lot of pig.
Yeah.
It is.
Spooky.
So for your next barbecue,
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get to our first impressions then. Thank you, Mr. Wobbly. And now we'll go with Outback Bill Mulligan because this is your pick.
Oh, this is my fault. Well, like I said, it was in every video store, and as soon as I got a videotape player, it was one of the first ones I watched, I think. And my impression then was I was super impressed because I was expecting just a giant pig running around killing people, and what I got was a movie directed by the guy who did all of my favorite music videos. I didn't realize that at the time because they didn't tell you who directed music videos. This is about the time, MTV was taking off. And I loved all the Duran Durans and the very first one, Video Killed the Radio Star. They all had a very specific look to them, which I now realize is because they were all directed by this guy.
Same person.
And he was kind of creating that that style, the language of early MTV music videos with the backlighting and the fog and the weird jump cuts, and the heavy metal guys playing in a factory that made sparks. Apparently that's what it made. The Spark Factory, all these now cliches, although I guess I'm saying this now and the kids listening to us have no idea what I'm talking about. It used to be that MTV showed music videos. They were short movies and they played with the song and it was great. And they stopped doing that. But I really liked it. I knew I could tell the giant pig was mechanical and probably worked about as well as the big giant mechanical shark in Jaws, which is to say not at all, because they didn't show him very much. I actually, watching it now years later, I guess they showed it more than I thought they did. But still, they're pretty creative with the editing, which frankly is what you ought to do when you have a monster that doesn't work. When your giant pig cannot actually do the things that you would like your giant pig to do, because $5 million was not enough at that time with the technology. You use edits. You use a little thing called suspense and close-ups. Isn't that right, Crystal? Sometimes close-ups can really help a scene.
Oh, God. They bring you have, oh, God. I can't imagine watching a movie with no close-ups. That would just be weird.
Yes. So, it's edited well, and they did a pretty good job. And yes, it's a little more stylistic than I remembered it. I've forgotten the hallucination scenes and all the other craziness. But what the hey, if you're filming a movie in Australia, aka scariest place on earth, I mean, it's beautiful. It's beautiful and desolate and scary and weird. Take advantage of that, sure. Just show what you can. So I still like this movie. It's weird. It's very Australian, and I can see why it didn't do particularly well. But I like the actors, especially the old guy who's playing the Quint role. So I think this is a fun movie that has not gotten a lot of attention. I think people will enjoy it if they pick it up.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely Quint role. That's what I thought when he said 2 states of being, dangerous or dead. I'm picturing Quint at the chalkboard.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you, that opening scene sold me right there. And I didn't even know about Dingo Ate My Baby and everything, which probably that scene probably meant a lot to Australians, but it was like, but just a movie that kills a baby in the first 5 minutes. I'm like, oh, holy crap, all rules are off. This is not an American joint here.
Yes.
All right. Let's go with Crystal next. Crystal, have you seen this before?
Nope. I've never seen this before. So this was my first time. And I didn't know what to expect from this movie. And so when I started it, I was like, oh, it's starting off really well. Then the kid gets got. And I was like, oh, it's getting even better. And then it gets a little boring for a bit. I'm not going to lie, guys. It's kind of a little bit too much character development. I was waiting for the boar. I was like, where's my boar? You promised me a boar, and I expected a boar. I did really enjoy the movie, though. I mean, it's better made than a lot of movies in the 80s. So, and the husband, I just remember him from a lot of things. I just don't remember who he is exactly, but I think all the performances were wonderful. I think that oddly enough, they didn't utilize as much of the outback as I thought that they would. Because I would imagine that they probably could have. It's I swear, it feels like they decided to make this movie to make Australia look as horrible as possible. The people and Australia itself. Because, I was like, someone hates Australia because they didn't even show any of its beauty. They showed the worst parts of Australia, and they made the people look like. I mean, I think we can see what the people. I mean, even the people that are like good are still not great, and so so that kind of surprised me, but I did like the edits as well, as far as I think it was clever. the way that they edited the boar. And I think there's like one shot where it's just like a shadow of him, and I kind of laughed. I mean, obviously, you always kind of laugh at some of this because, I mean, some of it's going to be cheesy. It's a big boar. They had an amazing fog machine, or like 50 fog machines.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Like, and I'm big on my fog machines, so that was really good for. It was a fun watch. Not my favorite, not the worst. It was good. I enjoyed it. So, yeah, I mean, I think this is a movie that everyone could like. If you like 80s horror, I mean, if someone is into modern horror, I think they would be like, what is this garbage? Because it is edited strange and funny, and it's kind of weird. It definitely goes off the rails at points. Like, yeah. But yeah, so.
Okay.
It was good.
All right. Well, thank you. Oh, Mr. Wobbly, back to you. Have you seen this before?
Yes, I have. I rented this off the shelf
Nice.
numerous times, though. And I remember the first time I watched it, it was it felt like I was watching some weird artsy movie with all the fog and the weird, stuff like that going on, the weird sunsets and backgrounds and backlighting. But it ended up being, that's what really grabbed me when I saw this movie, was the style that it was shot in, very creative ways to getting around how bad the boar looked, and that kind of thing. And a lot of shaky cam, there's a lot of shaky cam there at the end. The pig wasn't very mobile. You just got to see very quick shots of the head and just enough to give you a vague idea of why you should be terrified. But and because of this movie, even before Highlander, Russell Mulcahy became one of my favorite directors. I just really dig his style that he goes. I mean, Highlander, and a lot of things kind of fell flat that he directed. The Shadow with Alec Baldwin and those type of movies. But he was always one of those directors that I felt could have had a great career.
I agree.
And it just never happened for whatever reason. And which was always sad to me, because I just felt like he had such a talented view of everything, and it never came through on that. I wasn't aware at the time I watched this that he did direct a lot of music videos and stuff like that. Yeah. But it's very apparent that he did, with his style and
the way the shots were like even positioned with the fog and the lights. I should have figured it out too.
Let's say, in terms of success, I don't think his movie career was the success it should have been, but he has 162 director credits. This guy has done a lot of stuff.
He's been a steady working director. I just felt like if Steven Spielberg's calling you up and saying, "Hey, how did you do that special effect?" And this,
you should
you're
be a big
doing
name.
something right. Yeah. So I've always felt that, and it did look like a big music video with the. But I had no idea if it wasn't Iron Maiden or Crocus. I had no idea who Duran Duran was at the time, or anything like that.
What?
But no, not me. But I was not into that kind of music at all. But,
how dare you?
It's okay, Bill. You can like all of it for me.
Okay, fair enough.
But yeah, especially at the end scene in the old Sawtooth building, Pet Pack or whatever, and the
Pet Pack, the name.
Yeah, there's absolutely no reason why that building, that big opening, should have been lit that way with fog all the way around it. There's no reason for that, but it looked cool as hell, And so yeah, I've always loved this movie. It's a very cool monster movie, follows some of the same tropes as that, and it's got little where it falls flat in a few places, but which I'm sure we'll talk about. But it's one of those that it was a favorite of mine ever since I first saw it.
Oh, cool. Because I had not seen this before. Seen it tons of times on lists and I don't know why I didn't dive in, but I'm really glad you picked this, Bill, because I absolutely love this. It's a visual feast, really. I think you could get tired of the blue and the smoke and the lights. What was?
Yeah, he's muted.
I said you need to hold your pinky up when you say fancy words like
visual.
It's a visual feast.
Yeah.
That's why when I watched it so many times, I just kept seeing stuff I hadn't seen before in the shots. The director's interesting. The actors, I loved it. It does have a kind of a similarity to Jaws in that you've got it doesn't match it exactly, but Jake is definitely the Quint character, and Sarah is kind of the Hooper character. She's like a scientist.
Yeah, you're right.
Electronic stuff.
The only thing we're missing the mayor, who's scared that the giant pig is going to drive the tourists away from the town. But this town is so horrible, there would never be a tourist there. So
who's going to come see our mud hole?
Yeah, let's go see the factory where we turn wallabies into dog food.
Yeah. And there's a tourist bus that comes through once a week for some reason, just to see them.
They stop at the station there to go to the bathroom.
You get a big plate full of kangaroo meat.
I loved it, and I don't even care, how good or bad anybody thinks that the Razorback, the giant boar, looks. I just thought.
Actually, I thought it looked good.
I just thought it was fun. Even the way Gregory Harrison plays stuff was fun. It's kind of weird. It's almost like he's got a little bit of I don't know if I want to say tongue in cheek, but when he's on that windmill that falls over into the mud pit or
the pigsty.
That he's like, I don't know. It's just
well,
weird.
A lot of that humor in it worked really well. Like when
I did
the pig pulled half the guy's house off and ran off with it, and he's sitting there watching TV.
The TV's still running.
Yeah, it works.
Right.
It works.
Right. And that's absolutely right. The TV's still running. You'd have needed like 100-foot extension cord or something and they said, we knew that was stupid, but we just loved the way it looked.
Yeah.
I wish they had this visual in their mind.
Terrible.
Yeah.
I wish you'd been watching Benny Hill, so as it went away, it would have been
Well, that guy was an American that had a talk show or a variety show in Australia for like 8 years. Don
was
Lane,
inexplicably popular.
Yeah. Anyway, we've been talking about Russell Mulcahy a bit. The video killed the radio.
Look at these videos. Look at that. We got, what is that one? Total Eclipse of the Heart.
Is that?
That's the one with the glowing choir boys. With the glowing eyes.
Wow.
Billy Joel sitting in a room full of fire, and the Buggles video killed the radio star. And then Highlander, which is just one of the craziest movies ever.
Yeah. Well, and he did Ricochet with Denzel Washington. Which is one I had seen. But he also did a ton of Elton John videos.
Mm-hmm.
Duran and Elton John, he probably did, I don't know, 10 or 15 of them.
Yeah, I love his style. And I really thought that he would be a big, I guess part of he was going to do Rambo. Oh. And he got fired off of Rambo after the first week or so for whatever reason. And I think that kind of stalled his career or whatever. But then he went and he did a lot of TV. So when you look at this, he did like a bunch of Teen Wolves. He's been working steady.
Yeah. I saw that. He has like 40 episodes of Teen Wolf.
Wait, you mean like the new Teen Wolf?
Yeah.
The TV show?
Oh,
the TV show.
I love the TV.
2011.
I love it. It's so good. Yeah. Tyler Posey. It's precious.
Yep.
So for whatever reason, his style seems to have been more successful on the small screen than on the big one, which, that's a good career to have. But
he might prefer it to have more control. He might be a big fish in a smaller pond there.
Right.
That might.
Well,
be,
and he did.
Yeah.
He has done some TV movies. He did. This is a bit surprising to me, but he did a TV movie on the Dale Earnhardt story.
Oh.
That starred Barry Pepper. So
that's the car dude, right?
NASCAR.
Yes, that's the car dude.
NASCAR
Yeah.
driver.
I actually, as soon as it came out of my mouth, I was like, "Shut up! Everyone's gonna hate you."
Everyone's like, "What part of the country do you
Yeah.
live in?"
Only
Yeah.
the biggest NASCAR.
But
Audience.
I'm born and raised in Texas, so like I know very little about car racing. Although, yeah, they have a NASCAR museum here, don't they?
Well, he was a
Yeah.
super stud and
course they
died in a race, and his son was a super stud, very well known
Was also
racer. Well, his son's alive, but he's not
Okay.
racing anymore, I don't think.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Oh, we're gonna get letters
Oh, no.
now.
So
They
anyway,
even gave him one of the better Resident Evil sequels.
Mhm.
I think
Oh.
it was
Yeah.
Extinction. I think it was, and it really was one of the better sequels of that series.
I think he just
I
never
agree.
really got a movie with a great script.
Yeah,
You know, he was able to give a lot of visual. You know, he
I
did
don't know.
Tales of the Mummy.
I don't know. I loved that. I honestly I loved the Highlander. I loved that Resident Evil. I loved Teen Wolf. I mean, I don't understand why y'all are acting like his career isn't like majorly successful, because to me it is. I kind of feel like he maybe
just-
is where he wants to be.
Oh, no,
Sometimes
no.
people don't want to be,
He
you
is.
know.
Yeah.
let's
Like I
ask
said,
him.
162 credits. And you know what
Yeah,
you
he's
said,
always
Crystal.
working. I mean,
If you get hooked up with a TV show, that's a lot of stories you get to
Yeah.
tell. Whereas you make a movie, you spend $5 million to make a movie about a giant pig, and then nobody goes to see it, and you're like, I just wasted 2
Wasted
years
all
of my
that time.
life on one story that didn't connect with the audience, as opposed to being on a hit TV show where you get to tell a lot of stories and people like it. I'd trade one for the other. I think he probably feels bad about his career, but for some reason, everybody wants to have that movie. You know, that one movie directed by
Yeah.
for some reason that's the top of the game.
I think he did with Highlander.
I do
I mean,
too. That's why I'm like,
Well, it
I'm
wasn't
like,
a hit in the
Highlander?
United States. It was a hit everywhere else. That's why they kept making movies.
I
Mhm.
don't know. I feel like the Highlander became
And then
it's a
Highlander
major
2.
cult
Highlander 2 was,
classic, because I can't tell you how many times I've watched the Highlander.
and
I
that's
was
another thing.
I was so excited to hear when he was going to direct The Shadow, because I'm a huge Shadow
Mhm.
Right.
I didn't
Doc
mind
Savage
it.
fan, but you could tell it was edited weird. That you could tell the studio's hand was deep into that movie.
Okay, see, that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, he may
Yes.
have done that and then decided this isn't for me, and
Oh,
that's
right.
what typically happens. You know, you're
Crystal,
like,
I think you're 100% right, because
Yeah.
Highlander 2 was completely taken away from him, turned into a disaster, and then he years later went back and re-edited it and did a director's cut that was significantly better. I still think it was kind of a mess, but it was way better than what got released. So yeah, you're absolutely right. He's someone who's been dicked around with by the studios.
So the story was that Hal McElroy saw the Duran Duran video that's got it's wolf in the title.
Hungry Like the Wolf.
Mhm.
Hungry Like the Wolf.
Yeah.
And called him up
Great
and
movie.
asked if he wanted to do a movie, and he's like, "Yeah." What's it
A
about?
great song, unless you're Chad.
We
Too
just
cool
wanna
for
do it.
Chad, but
Well, I'm a little bit with Chad there. I
I'm
looked at
obsessed
some of
with
the videos,
Duran
and I'm just not. I was never a big MTV fan.
Well, Video Killed
I
the
don't
Radio
know the
Star was the
videos,
first
but-
video ever played on MTV.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, I'm not saying I'm not trying to put the guy down at all. I just never.
it's
It's
not
not
the
something
music
that I saw a lot of. It had to be a big.
Yeah, that's the music. That's the music.
But it's obviously good stuff, and I do believe that in this movie, he was given pretty much free reign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They even
except-
put Duran music in this movie.
Except when it was all done, then they clipped a few scenes, and also the ending. I don't know about you guys, but I read some stuff about how the ending. They didn't really have the ending. They didn't know what was going to happen, and they didn't have time or money left. And they just kind of had to jam it.
I
in
liked
there,
it.
You know, I did too. I thought it was fine.
I'm glad he didn't kiss her again. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
you're there looking for your
Yeah, your
wife.
wife
You
did.
find.
Yeah.
I'm like,
He got
okay.
over her real fast.
That's the only part that I found. I was like, really? Like, why do they always have to make a man and woman be romantic? Can't they just freaking be, you know?
Ooh, you almost
Yeah,
said
oh,
something
wow.
totally
I'm-
different there.
Yeah, I know where that was going.
Like, I don't understand. I just don't understand why they had to, they could have just been friends, you know?
I don't think
Especially
she
because-
wanted to be friends. I
Hmm.
think she was,
Oh.
which is
Yeah,
fair
right,
because
right.
Well,
because she didn't.
Look
know
what she's
this
got to
guy.
deal with there. Look
Yeah.
at all the genetic
Those dudes are
inferiority in that
gross.
town there. I mean, good God, the first halfway
She is
decent American
literally
guy.
the only normal acting person
Oh.
in the movie besides.
Yeah.
You got all your teeth. Let me open your mouth.
Oh, aren't you fancy, Duchess? All your
Mhm.
teeth there.
Hold your finger up like that. Go on, hold it up like that.
What is
Nice, perfect,
the
mother.
yeah? The one guy
God.
says
Actually, I
when
drank
she's
like
taking
that.
the movie, something about what's up your hole. What are you doing here, or something like that? He says,
Oh, good line.
That guy is just like so. Anyway, one of the reasons this looks so good also is the cinematographer. They kind of looked into a cinematographer at a perfect spot. Dean Semler, who ends up winning an Academy Award for Dances with Wolves.
Oh.
Oh, I could see
cool.
that. Yeah.
And there was some discussion about they thought it was possible that he was referred to more American movies because of Spielberg calling in and asking about the two moons, which was a mistake actually.
Oh, really?
Well, that's what they said on some of the Blu-ray extras, that they had a great big, backlit on a screen or something, moon, great big orange one, and they just happened to get the real moon in the shot. One
That's
of the shots
hilarious.
as they
Oh,
panned
wow.
across.
Now, that cinematographer also did he did a bunch of movies. Wow, I'm looking at this. Mad Max 2, Mad Max
Yeah.
Road Warrior.
Oh yeah, and she's
and that
in
was
it,
what
too,
got him
the
this
lead
job.
actress.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he did Apocalypto, which is one of the most gorgeously shot movies ever.
I do.
So
love that
yeah,
movie.
that's gold
even
right there.
well-known Maleficent,
Hmm.
as in terms of well-known big money movies, Secretariat.
Oh, he knows how to shoot film. This guy's top notch.
Um,
And think about, I mean, as much as I love Road Warrior, take away the gorgeous cinematography, and it's not the same film at all. I mean, that instantly took it from being like Mad Max was into something that was mythic. Just look at these opening shots. I mean, they are.
Yeah, they're nice.
They really. It's just a guy walking to his house, but it looks like something from a John Ford Western. I mean, just it's beautiful. And man, great
so like
opening.
6 years later, he does Dances with Wolves. I'm not seeing. Oh, Dead Calm. That's another.
Oh, with Nicole
Awesome
Kidman.
movie.
I loved
God
it.
bless
Yeah.
her,
Man, that
Billy
was such a good
Zane
movie.
and-
Yes.
Sam Neill.
That was such. Think about that. That movie was shot on a boat, and it's so entertaining. Like it's.
Yeah. What year is that?
Oh,
God,
that
was
was
like forever.
before
Mid-
Dances
80s?
with Wolves, so like 80.
Oh, so let's do it sometime.
We
That
could.
would be. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I
totally
just
worth
saw it and I lost it. I've looked through these things and wow, City Slickers,
Oh,
Dead Calm, 89. Yeah.
okay. We can do
Yeah.
it. Yeah. All right.
Mhm.
Put that on the list.
So I think that was part of it. And then I don't know much about this guy, but the editor was William M. Anderson, and you got to give him some credit. Walt Breaker Morant, Dead Poets Society, Gallipoli. So those were some early Australian movies that were well received.
Yeah.
Tender Mercies. Isn't that the Robert Duvall one?
Yeah, I think you're right.
So yeah, I mean, I don't see that he nominated for a BAFTA award, etc. So yeah, I think this is one of those things where you had in terms of a movie, a narrative story, you had a novice director, but he wasn't a novice director. But you had some really good people around him in terms of cinematography and editing, and everything worked out well. So I don't know who. Does anybody know who Iva Davies is? Does that ring a bell? Because
Davies.
they went nuts about how it was such a lucky thing to get him to do the music.
I only noticed Duran Duran, so Sorry.
And I see tons of stuff under Ice House. Is that a?
Oh, the band? Ice House?
Must be.
Good band.
Yeah.
He was the lead singer of that band.
Okay. There we go.
And wrote all the songs, I guess. It
a
was
big
one of
deal
all.
for them, especially.
Yeah, it was Australia's top rock band at the time.
Okay. There we go.
It's interesting sometimes when, I mean, it seems like it should be a mistake when you take a rock band and you let them score a movie because it's two completely different beasts. But a couple of my favorite soundtracks of all time, Queen for Flash Gordon, and amazingly, this one just blew my mind. I love the soundtrack for the original Dune by Toto.
Me too.
Yes.
Which, if I were a betting man, I would have bet all my money that was going to be a disaster, and I love it. So, there you go.
I mean, people don't give them credit because, I mean, they can play music. And
Yeah.
most of them can do more than just one genre or one type of music. Actually, a lot of those boys probably started out playing Christian music on their guitars, you know?
Guitar by the cement pond.
Well, speaking of Flash Gordon,
Yeah.
those sparks flying around the factory at the end,
Yeah.
straight out of that movie.
That's right.
Yeah. So, Bill, you mentioned the opening, which I thought was cool too. It starts with that kind of woomph with this blade going around, which is just, I don't know. And you can tell right there, everything is backlit. Everything,
That's beautiful.
you have these brilliant oranges and reds, and then
Red lights
night.
coming out of nowhere where they shouldn't be coming
Hey.
Well, yeah. What about?
I'm totally okay with that.
What about the? And then you mentioned Australia, so we've got
It's.
this weird.
Oh God.
They show
I
the
don't
worst
know.
parts of it. Looks like a Skeksis at the top.
Well, this-
like
Yeah.
a bone Skeksis.
So this bottom one. So in that nightmare sequence, there was a big chunk of that was shot in L.A.
Oh wow, really?
Pickup shots, and Gregory Harrison wasn't there. So whenever you're seeing a back of a guy at long distance or something, it's
Yeah, that bottom
Smart.
shot looked pretty fake and way less scary than the actual Australian shots.
Yeah, and I think maybe they went out in I don't know where they went.
Probably the desert.
Salt flats.
It's
Well,
like
that
the
wouldn't-
salt
flat.
Desert. That, and then that. See, I was looking at that and thinking map painting, but they said no, it wasn't a map painting. It was a painted glass. Isn't that?
That's
Same
that's the same exact damn
Well,
thing.
they were.
So, okay.
This guy was Mulcahy was differentiating it for some reason. So
Yeah, back in the day, Albert Whitlock. If you ever watch a video of him, he painted right on glass. And
Right.
Jim Danforth would do that too. Yeah, great stuff. I love that thing. Been through the desert with a horse with no skin. There, it's just it's so low tech and everything. They're just rattling it from below, but it was effective. Just
and then it comes up out of that. Just breaks
then it
up
showed
all
up
these
door and.
So you're saying they just painted on glass and put it in front of the camera?
Yeah.
lens?
Right. That's what a
Oh.
bat is usually.
I have never heard of that. So.
Like cityscapes in the background. They're usually matte paintings back in the day, 70s, 80s.
Yeah.
You know the Thing, right? The movie John
Jeff Mohr.
Carpenter's Thing.
Yeah.
The spaceship, the spaceship in the ice, total matte painting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, all that's matte.
Totally
painting.
works. That's
And it's on glass, so they can set certain
you can make it
certain
different
scenes in the
depths.
front or in the back. And
Now they don't use it as much anymore because it's
No.
so easy to do composites
Yeah.
on the computer. But yeah, it's a grand old.
That was
technique.
huge all the way
It's a
back
lost
to
art,
King Kong. Oh yeah.
33. They were doing that. So anyway, so this is part of it. But I thought one of the things I thought was, as I'm watching this, they're driving around at night hunting kangaroos, I guess, or chasing each other, a variety of scenes like that. No matter where they are, there's tons of smoke and there's huge spotlights backlighting everything.
Inexplicable backlighting. I'm with
perfectly
Crystal.
centered behind.
You
a
do not
tree
need
or
to
behind
explain it because I've done enough movie shoots in the dark in the woods, and if you don't have inexplicable backlighting, you can't see a damn thing.
Yeah.
The moon does not provide enough light. So
But they
yes,
use
I'm
it to
just
great effect. To great
suspension of disbelief. I accept the fact that if you're running through the woods in a movie, you can actually see where you're going and you don't run into a tree. Whereas in real life, you'll just run into one tree after another until you die.
Especially in North Carolina. Y'all
Oh,
lack
yeah.
so much like street lighting and stuff. I've never That's spooky.
She says y'all like she doesn't live here anymore.
Yeah, I know. Right?
Well,
I love North Carolina, I really do. But
so
yeah,
let's
it's
look
like
at
crazy.
so Bill Kerr plays
That face, yes.
Jake.
Yeah. He's great.
Yeah, he is.
Spoiler alert, the only part about this movie I don't like is when he's gone, which you knew he would. He's
Right,
not fated to live to the last scene. That's his role, Quint. But he's great. And you feel for him, you understand where he's coming from. This damn pig ate his baby. And everybody blamed him for it. Like, yeah, I mean, that's gonna mess you up.
And he dragged himself through all that pig crap and mud to get to that building right there at the end, and all for naught. All for naught.
It's a good send off though. I mean, it's well done. Again, the pig doesn't really work that well, but they hardly show him. We just see this door, opening up and shutting and opening up, and then there's a shadow, and it's like we don't need to see the big fake pig. His eyes tell the story. It's great, but I was sorry to see him go.
Yeah,
well,
cool character.
I can't say as I've seen him in a lot of stuff. He again was in like Gallipoli, and it looks like a lot of what I'm assuming is a Australian television series. There's a lot of that stuff on there.
He looks Australian. He looks what I imagine an Australian would look like he's grizzled. I mean, he might be 40 years old, but he looks like he's 70.
60.
Yeah, he's
29 on his last birthday. But.
Yeah. Well, he was 61 when this was shot.
Oh,
I think.
see, yeah.
So in the summer of
so I'm a little too close.
Well, he's just got that look about him that makes you think this guy's going to kick ass.
Right.
Yeah.
And a great voice. A great voice to go with it too.
Yeah. And a big gun.
Great character.
Oh yeah, and get me the bigger gun this time. So I like how there was that one scene where when Carl Gregory Harrison staggers up to Arkie Whiteley's ranch, Sarah, and she's taking care of him. Well, then Jake comes over to find out what he saw. Oh, he's out there. He stomps out of the thing with his rifle and shoots a big piece of wood with an off a wagon. There's no animals out there or anything. He just goes out there and
gonna shoot something.
I gotta shoot something. So I don't know. So this was the original. I threw a couple of these on here, Bill. I wanted to mention. She plays Carl's wife. She's the one that dies next after the original baby. And actually, you're right about taboos. This movie, we have a pregnant woman and a baby. Yep. So two babies, really. Yeah. A pregnant woman and a dog.
Nobody's
safe.
We
just run over for no friggin' reason. What'd you do
the guy didn't even know. What'd you do that for?
I don't know.
I'm evil.
Seemed like the right thing to do at the time.
Yeah.
Right. So she's I mean, it's a tough job. She's going into this group of hunters, kangaroo hunters, basically that are their one big industry is the pet pack that processes kangaroo meat. Apparently,
I wonder if Australians realize to Americans just how bizarre that is. That the thought that people would eat kangaroos or turn it into dog food is so horrifying to us. But I'm thinking to Australians, they're probably like squirrels. Like if I were to go to Australia and they're like, "Oh man, squirrels are just the best. It must be great living around squirrels." And I'd be like, "We just run them over. They're nothing. They're like tree rats." So
tree rats.
Yeah, but kangaroos we love kangaroos because we don't have to live with them.
So they're okay until you have to box one.
Yeah.
Well, she avoids. She's about to get raped by Dicko when
they're such scum.
The Razorback shows up and does her in instead, which is
probably better.
Frankly, a better
rough to watch. That was pretty rough too.
It was.
And they even. I don't know if I want to talk about it. I'm going to save that to the end. Some of the scenes that they cut. So Gregory Harrison, there he is with Sarah and them, and he was on Trapper John, MD.
Yes.
kind of had a hit. It was a hit series, I guess. I don't.
Yeah.
I never
lasted
watched
for
it.
about
Yeah,
4
I
or
remember
5
it being
seasons.
a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a top 5 type
Mhm.
TV show at the time, and it was.
I just remember his face big time for some reason. Like, maybe
Well, he
he's
was
cute.
in something else.
He's been in a lot of shows and some soap operas, and I think now he's older, of course, but he's been in a lot of those god awful Hallmark movies that
Oh.
go on and keep having sequels forever till the end of time. So, hey, he's still working. Good for him.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, there was a. I was trying to see. There was a series he was in before Trapper John. Let's see. Oh, Logan's Run. He was in Logan Run.
Oh,
That's right.
He was
That's right.
Logan.
Yeah, and he ran.
and he ran.
All
Ran so
14
far away.
episodes of it, yeah.
I don't know. I can't stop.
One of those
myself.
terrible 70s sci-fi TV shows that's just basically a science fiction version of The Fugitive.
And that bottom picture, the one everybody knows him from when he appeared on Guar's last album.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
I just realized
What?
he was in. We talked about. I remember talking about this. He was in Trilogy of Terror.
Yes.
Really?
The middle
Wasn't he
sequence, right?
The college student.
Oh, okay.
Right. Yep.
I mean, he's just so darn young. You just, yeah.
Oh, just a kid.
All right.
Mm.
All right. So,
And I thought he was fine in this, although, Crystal and I were talking about this and how it does kind of stick in your throat. He goes out there to find his wife, discovers her ring and a pile of, boar poop. But he gets over it real fast, and it's like, oh, man, I'm so broken up, but at least I get to have sex with the girl from Road Warrior. So
I know. I'm just like, okay, dude, you're so messed up. Can't
I'm
you
not
just
saying you
like
gotta-
wait a bit?
It was the 80s. Cocaine.
on the other hand, look at her. She's cute as a damn button.
Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought she was really good. I mean,
It's
Yeah.
too bad she died so young.
She did.
Yeah. yeah.
Like what was
Like
she, like
37?
37? Oh,
Mhm.
what a shame.
Had cancer.
Oh.
But yeah, she just seemed like one of those people that was a sweetheart. One of the
Mhm.
actors said, she came across as having this maturity behind her years, like one of those, I don't know, sometimes people call them old souls or something like
Mhm.
that. But they said if you sat and talked with her, she was exactly what her age. It just
That's one of the coolest names
she could
ever.
project
Yeah.
that
Arkie,
persona, right? Arkie, yeah.
Mhm.
And she was that way in the Road Warrior too. She has this innocence about her. Just she seems like one of those people. It's no surprise when someone like that, an actor like that, turns out they really are genuinely nice, because that comes across.
Mhm.
So yeah, I wish she'd live longer. I mean, I wish everyone who's good lives longer, but it's always sad. I'm like, because I was like looking it up. I wonder what else she's done. And I'm like, well, that's not a long career. I'm like, yeah,
Mhm.
there we go.
Well, and even with that, that she seemed to have one of those things that would have been that the screen, would have been nice to her, that she would have
Mhm.
gotten picked up in more things, but she was working until the end anyway. So this may be the reason that I love the movies. These two
The
guys.
Baker
I had
boys.
that-
I know. they're
Dicko and
ridiculous.
Benny.
Their outfits, though. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm like, did they pull the costumer from music videos as well? Because seriously, look at them. I'm not kidding. Like one of the Dicko's like last costumes, he has like this red shirt and green pants, and I'm like, that is ridiculous. I love it. Like,
So did anybody read any stories about David Argue?
no.
Let's hear some.
Well, this guy was a free spirit ad-libber.
Oh,
And so when you see him doing all that stuff that he does in the movie, that was him.
Mhm.
He just was always doing stuff like that. And to the point of where they said Bill Kerr, who played Jake, he was you learn your lines,
Mhm.
you say your lines.
hmm
And right off the bat, David argues spitting back something different. And he was like, what's he talking about? It's just
Mhm.
like, I
That's
can't
where
do
the
that.
first picture of Mr. Kerr came up when he's pointing the gun.
Yeah.
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 It was because of that.
So the director, Mulcahy, said, I finally got him to. It was weird how they talked about him. They talked about him like they never actually said this guy was a real pain in the ass. They said things like he's a nice guy and he's really creative and he always does all these different things.
A sense of butt coming.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems. So Mulcahy said, I finally made a deal with him that we would do at least 2 takes where he stuck to the script, and then we'd give him a couple takes where he could do his stick. And he said some of it was terrible and got cut, but some of it got put in. So
Yeah.
I love the parts where when he's running, going somewhere, he always slides.
Yeah.
When he
I was
turns the
going, what
corner,
is this deal with sliding around everywhere?
and do a little twirl and take just
It's
spin
like,
around and start running again.
like he's in a Warner Brothers cartoon or something.
Yeah.
And I think
One scene he was running and his
I don't know what
his
he's
elbows
wearing
were
in that-
flapping like chickens,
That
like a
top
chicken or
picture,
something.
he's got that yellow. I don't know what that is. It's to protect his arms from the blood of the kangaroos or whatever's going on. But Dicko and Benny was the one that was always going.
Yeah. Which triggered my anxiety more than I can say here.
Really?
Oh, really? Really?
I get it. Yep.
I was ready to punch something by the 3 seconds later.
I enjoyed those guys, and I thought, in particular, Dicko. I just loved watching him. It got to the point where I was just watching him in a scene to see what weird.
He
stuff
is good. I mean,
Yeah.
he definitely brings the bad to the movie. But I could see why they would say, like, if you're not doing what the director tells you to, and if you're not sticking to the script, that's a problem. You're not doing your job.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
I'm
to the
sorry.
point of throwing off the other actors, you don't-
Yeah, it's
If you're going to add to the whole thing, that's great. But if you're just showing off, it's doesn't.
And that's he did the right thing to work out the deal with it. You hire these people because they're quirky, but then you discover they don't just act quirky. They're quirky
They
because
are.
they're quirky.
Mhm.
And they're not going to suddenly stop being
Yeah.
quirky because that would be convenient for you in the movie.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
but they definitely add some local color.
I love those guys. And anyway, and then we gotta talk a little bit about the pig. So there's
cool.
There he is. Yeah.
that is the ramming pig.
Ramming pig. Oh wow.
Yeah.
I'd love now I want to have a ramming pig.
That's awesome. Like, it looks, I mean, that's neat.
That's the one that bashed into walls or went
cars
through and you just have anyway.
Bring out the ramming pig.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now you're in
is
trouble,
one of those
Dickie.
cases, though. I think where it is a lot like Jaws in that the guy that did the pig, Bob McCarron, they had like 5 or 6 different versions of the pig, and one of them was supposed to be a fully animatronic moving pig. And he said the producer and the director kept telling him they wanted him to do that. He kept telling him, I can't do that. It won't look good. It will not look good.
No, just do it.
And no, you'll be able to do it. You'll do it, and just keep at it. You'll be able to come with it. And he goes, we spent $250,000 on the pig, and that particular version of the pig got like maybe a second in the.
Mhm.
He actually said it was this many frames is all you see that pig in the movie.
This keeps happening. This keeps happening. King Kong, the 1970s King Kong, Grizzly 2, where apparently they believe some guy was going to be able to build an animatronic 15-foot grizzly that would not look like Chuck E. Cheese. The technology's not there. Okay, maybe it's there now if you can somehow resurrect Stan Winston and have him build a giant T-Rex or something. I mean, now it's there.
Even
You have-
still,
it's just-
with the Chucky, they still need puppeteering
Yes.
to really get in there and move the stuff. If it fully animatronic, no. But
Well,
puppeteering and animatronics,
Yeah.
yeah.
But design-wise, this thing is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Harrison.
really
Yeah,
beautiful.
no, I
and they
thought-
added like some slippery goopy
Yeah.
goop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually thought it was pretty damn good. There was a couple scenes where you could tell they were thrusting something that had no articulation to it.
Mhm.
But other than that, I thought it was pretty decent.
Honestly, the boar,
The way
when
they
it
shot
showed it like this, I had no issues with it. When they showed the shadow, I did laugh. Okay, when it's like up on a hill, and you could tell it was the only one that was like all black in the
Yeah,
shadow,
yeah.
and the other pigs were like you could see depth and all this.
Yeah.
Well, the other little pigs are walking around its feet going, "Where are we going to go today, Spike? Huh? Where are we going to go today?"
Yeah, that was
So there was the
funny.
scene where I think it's Sarah or Arkie Whiteley. I think she's looking in binoculars at the ridge, and she just sees it walk over the ridge. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think
so that was well, they described it as a regular pig with a blanket, but
Wow.
because you're
What?
out there, the perspective is off. You don't need that big thing.
Right.
They actually had a pig, and then they had a molded foam.
Oh, the poor pig.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'll bet that was hot. But anyway,
Yeah.
I'm running things around here now.
What's he gonna do? Go complain to his union representative? I mean,
Okay, I thought about that as I was watching this. That I was like,
it reminded
Were they
me
nice
of
to
Killer
these
Shrews.
pigs?
When
I was just
did
gonna
that.
say Killer Shrews. Dress up a puppy with some shrew costume. Yeah, that's funny though.
So yeah, it's and then I thought this was kind of a funny story. McCarron tells, and he was also a makeup guy. So Arkie Whiteley had signed up to do the nude scene where Gregory Harrison walks up to her when she's in the outdoor shower. And at some point she decided she wasn't going to do it. And according to McCarron, Mulcahy came to him and said, well, she doesn't want to do it. And he goes, well, okay, she don't want to do it. She don't want to do it. And he goes, well, you got a week to convince her, like before it was scheduled. So supposedly, this is what McCarron says, that he just said, "Oh, okay, we'll get a stand-in. We'll get a stand-in," and so then he goes to her later and tells her that they checked out the stand-in and she was okay. Well, what do you mean she was just okay? Well, there's a little cellulite around her bum or something, and then Arkie Whiteley is like, "The hell with that," Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know, but it's a hell of a story.
It's a funny story. I thought they shot that relatively tastefully. It wasn't too exploitive,
and it actually fits. And the way his reaction too is hilarious. He's barely able to stand, and then falls over dead. I thought that was a great scene. So anyway, I want to talk a little bit about the scenes that were cut in terms of gore. Did you guys look at any of that? Or
I was trying to find those scenes. So is it on the Blu-ray?
It's on the Blu-ray. It's also in the and Chad may have seen them when he originally saw it. Supposedly the VHS is on the Blu-ray, and that has them in it. Now they must not have had good enough versions of it anymore to transfer to Blu-ray. I don't know, but and then there's like a 2.5 minute thing of the cut scenes, and in this scene where Beth, Judy Morris, gets killed, there's a little extra violence in there. There's a little extra, like a second or two more of a tusk, like around her shot, around her crotch, that was supposed to be, sort of phallic, because what's his name was. I mean, it doesn't tear anything. It's just,
that was in the version I just watched on Amazon.
It is, but there's more. There's more.
Oh, it lasted longer than that?
Like just a second or two.
I'm not sure it's not any more of that.
And then when Jake dies, and it isn't like you see this real graphically like you would in a current movie, but the Razorback bites his face off. Instead of in this one, the one that I saw anyway, you never see the Razorback going into the shed and grabbing him. Yeah, you just see it, and then they come and find him later and go, "Oh," and there's blood.
You hear him scream or something, I think.
Yeah. So in the thing, it comes in, it grabs him, it jumps on him, and then there's a quick shot of supposed to be his face ripped off.
That's cool. I would have not minded seeing.
And then when Sarah and Carl show up and find him in that shed, there's a shot of him with worms and stuff.
That's
but another
fun.
One, like a
but
second.
That's awfully quick. I mean,
that's like
how long did they wait?
Well, that's a good question. But you got to realize, I mean, that think about this. Gregory Harrison, that was really just, they had pigs around there. There was like mud and fecal matter and crap in that pit
gross.
that he fell into. I mean, There's no way that
Nasty.
was anyway.
Nasty.
So yeah, they did a little Fulci thing in there, a little Italian in that spot. And then when Dicko dies, there's a little extra, like the Razorback has a hold of him, has his leg in his mouth.
Yeah.
There's some extra violent shaking to the point of where he flops down, he's laying in the back, and it kind of shakes him, and he coughs, and a big spray of blood goes out, which is it's really well done. It really gives you a bigger, to me, it gave me a much bigger impact and chill to.
I don't know why that stuff was cut. It's not like that's going to get it a PG rating. I mean, it was clearly R all the way.
And then when the Razorback is on top of, I think you had the picture in there, on top of Gregory Harrison. This shot on the bottom.
Look at that.
There's a couple extra sprays of blood on his face, And that doesn't add anything to it other than he has to get, I'm picturing Sam Raimi.
I really don't understand these edits because, if your movie has a pig eating pregnant women and babies, it's going to be an R-rated movie,
right?
And this stuff doesn't sound like it would tip it over to X rating, so I don't know why they cut it out.
The stuff coming out of the pig's mouth there, the little hazy looking stuff, they call that hog fog.
Hog fog. I like it. I mean,
that was another thing. Though,
it's a common trait with
apparently the whole crew.
Fake news, everybody.
Well, no. The whole crew was joking about Mulcahy always going more smoke.
I'm with him. Let me tell you, if you know me, I love my fog machines. Like, honestly, if I'm not in a rush, I would have had way more fog in my, because I love fog. Actually,
it looks great.
The truth is, if you actually missed an entire scene and let the fog dissipate, your scene will look so much better.
Yes.
It gives so much depth to your scene.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm all about that.
According to them, too, that scene where Gregory Harrison is, I think that's, or maybe when the truck is coming up, but they're coming through that sort of like desolate landscape where the car's in the tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That apparently that was a real landscape. That was.
Oh, I totally believe that. Yeah.
Those trees and because of the lighting, it created these weird shadows. But that was just. He said something about the car being there because of flash floods.
Sure, let's go with that.
What the hell?
The place looks like it's never had rain.
It does, but they have flash floods in the desert,
right?
From mountain melt, although it's in Australia, I don't know.
Damn, Australia, you scary.
Maybe somebody will tell us about that. I know we have some Australians that listen to us.
I just feel like they made Australia look so bad. I know.
May God protect them
all
of our Australian fans.
Well, it got pretty bad reviews in Australia, and they kind of thought that's why.
Yeah, I would imagine. I mean, I'm not Australian, and I was watching it, and I was like, "Damn, what are they? What the heck?"
So when somebody watches Texas Chainsaw Massacre, do they think that makes Texans look bad?
Texans are bad. We're bad.
Yeah. If you're watching Wrong Turn, if you're watching Wrong Turn 2 and you get the idea that maybe you don't want to run out of gas in West Virginia, you don't want to run out of gas in West Virginia.
Yeah, I'm like, but Australia is gorgeous. There's lots of beautiful parts of Australia.
So the last thing you see before you die from a snake bite will be a beautiful scenario.
Yeah.
So that stuff was gorgeous. I just love the way they just overamp the color. Sometimes he's walking through this bright red back. I just love that. I love it. Well, we do have some feedback which we should get to. So, any last comments on Razorback?
Fun movie. It's just it really is a fun film to watch, and like I said, it's always been one of my favorites that I don't own. But I'll watch it when I can. So it's good.
Just to throw this out, there's tons of stuff on the Blu-ray. I mean, there's like
if I do order it, you'll never know because you're not
gonna tell me.
That's right.
I will never tell.
I'll never tell.
Yeah, it's been over 20 years since I saw this, so I'm glad it holds up.
Yeah,
It does.
It does.
Okay, well, that's it for Razorback. Let's move on to our feedback. And I'll probably need some help here.
Okay.
Scrolling.
All right. Scrolling.
Backer, more backer.
Here's a bunch of comments on 192, The Children. I don't know if this is surprising or not to y'all. This from Scott Darby. I love The Children. I picked up the VHS at a video store going out of business. I showed as many friends as I could. 2 words, hot hands.
He should write taglines.
That's actually really
Yes.
yes, that's
Scott, you've missed your call.
Scott Darby. Tagline.
You can see.
Can you imagine that's a riot. Oh my God.
So can I get somebody to read
Tyler Moore?
The next one. I'm sorry.
I'll do it. I haven't even read it yet, so I may be surprised. Hello, Gruesome Magazine. You guys are my favorite horror podcast. Oh, I especially enjoy the discussions on the decades of horror. I have enjoyed the recent episodes on The Children. I am writing to follow up on the crawling hand phobic amongst you.
Yes!
I would love to recommend a film called Quicksilver Highway.
Uh-oh.
This is a 1997 television movie directed by Mick Garris and stars Christopher Lloyd.
Oh.
Well, thank you. We are always looking for ways to make Chad uncomfortable. So,
well, I don't. You know, I
they
do
do.
think that it's kind of time for a '90s decades of horror '90s.
Well,
I
if we
think
get
it's
done,
time,
later, we could talk about that. I have
yeah,
possible information.
because
there, so.
I mean, you know,
Yeah.
it is.
What prompted me to write in is the adaptation of Clive Barker's story entitled The Body Politic. Highly recommend the story and recommend the film. My wife is not into horror like myself, but will watch the occasional film, and she did enjoy this one. Unfortunately, I do not think I'll ever hear this movie being reviewed since the decades of horror of the 90s has ended. Hold that thought. Keep up the great work and have fun with the reviews. Regards, Tyler. Thank you, Tyler.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it, Tyler.
Body Politic is an awesome story. Clive Barker's story.
Yeah.
I didn't know it had
I'm
been
obsessed with
adapted
Clive.
into a film, though.
So my buddy Andy L wrote in again. This just amazes me, the connections in his family. Who who can read this? Is Chad maybe?
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Andy L says, I just got notice of The Children on 1980s. My sister was boom operator on this movie. My sister did film work for a number of years on low budget stuff. She was a regular with Larry Cohen and worked on Q, the Winged Serpent, as well as things like The Ruddles.
Oh, yeah.
Eric Idle and Neil Innes. The Secret Files of J. Edgar Hoover with Broderick Crawford. Wow. And even Phantom of the Subway, a.k.a. Devil's Express, where she was actually used as an extra. The red-haired kung fu student without any dialogue is Jane. That's awesome.
Yeah.
She's the first to admit that The Children wasn't a good movie.
Yeah.
She stopped working after it got tough to try to get union membership and hard to get work, but she married a cameraman who's been my brother-in-law for around 40 years now.
Nice.
That is
Awesome.
nice.
Small world.
Yeah.
Small world.
Andy sent me a link to an interview with his sister, which is really interesting, I thought. She talks about a lot of different movies. She talks about being like one of the first female members of the I think it was kind of a sound equipment union, person's union before it merged with, what is it, IATSE as the, anyway, it was interesting.
I'll read
and-
Dallas's. if
Do
you want me to.
Dallas.
Okay.
Do it in
So-
his voice.
Oh God.
That would
Why-
be
why
any
would-
helium in film.
Why
Helium
would you
in
do
film.
that to me, Chad? Now I'm like, so Dallas, Nostromo.
Just make up any goofy voice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. God, the pressure.
Yeah, do that like that. Like that.
I was really excited to hear you'd be reviewing The Children. I totally first saw this when I was in middle school on an episode of Commander USA. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I thought it was scary
Gross.
then and still enjoy it today. Great choice.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm with you, Dallas. Commander USA was awesome.
He was,
Legion of
yeah.
Decency, retired. I love that show.
I had to look it up and watched a little bit of it. All right, folks, appreciate it. Dallas, Andy,
Thanks, Dallas.
Yes.
Thanks.
Tyler, and Scott. Really appreciate the comments. That's it for this episode, but every 2 weeks,
2 weeks.
we'll be doing another film released between 1980 and 1989. Next up is one chosen by Crystal.
We're going to do Lair of the White Worm.
Oh, that's so Crystal.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And it's on Amazon right now. Amazon?
It is.
Yeah,
It's
Amazon.
on Prime right now.
Yep. May not be.
Doom
Ken
Jr.
Russell's.
Ken Russell. So you know it's going to be a
White Worm
very conservative, play by the
Yeah.
numbers.
with Amanda
kind of thing.
Donahue.
Yeah, wow.
And Hugh Grant. Hugh
Yeah.
Grant.
Yeah.
Anyway, plenty of ways to stay in touch. Please send feedback to feedback@gruesomemagazine.com, or please make comments on the YouTube channel, Gruesome Magazine's YouTube channel, or on the Facebook group. I try to find them there and pull them.
Do it!
So,
Do it now.
and subscribe. Come on, please. Subscribe.
Yeah.
You know you want to.
Yep.
Or just write a note on a brick and throw it through my window. There's a whole bunch of ways you can be a part of this show.
Yeah, that works too.
He always answers those.
I do answer those.
He does.
Yeah, right
and
away.
he answers it by calling the police.
Yes.
But, you know,
Obviously.
An answer's an answer.
Hey.
So catch us again here in 2 weeks for another great movie of the 1980s, as only decades of horror can do it. Say good night.
Good night.
Night, everybody.
Or maybe good day, mate.
Good night.
Hey, mate.
Gruesome Magazine.